When I was 27 years old, I left a high-demanding job in management consulting for another high-demanding job, teaching. I went to New York City and started teaching 7th grade math in public schools. And like any other teacher, I created quizzes and tests and gave out homework assignments, and then I calculated their grades. What stuck out to me was IQ was not the only difference between my best and my worst students. Some of my strongest performers didn't have the stratospheric IQ scores, and some of my smartest kids weren't doing so well in class. The kinds of things in 7th grade, sure, they're hard, like area of the parallelogram, decimals, and fractions, but they aren't impossible. And I was firmly convinced that if my students worked long and hard enough, they would understand the material. After several years, I came to the conclusion that what we need in education is an understanding of students and learning from a motivational perspective, a psychological perspective. So I left the classroom and I went to graduate school to become a psychologist. I started studying kids and adults in challenging settings, and in every study, my question was, who is successful here and why? I went to West Point Military and studied cadets and military training to see who would drop out and who would be at graduation. My team and I studied National Spelling Bee and to see who would advance the furthest. We also studied rookie teachers in tough neighborhoods to see who would be there at the end of the school year. In all of those different contexts, one characteristic emerged. And it wasn't social intelligence, and it wasn't good looks, and it wasn't physical health, and it wasn't IQ. It was grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is sticking with your future, day in and day out, not for a week, not for a month, but for years, and working really hard to make sure that your future becomes your reality. Grit is living life like a marathon, not a sprint. So my team and I then went on to study public schools in Chicago. We asked high school juniors to take grit questionnaires. And it turns out that grittier kids were significantly more likely to graduate. We tried matching them on every characteristic that we could measure, like family income, test scores, and even how safe they felt at school. Not only at West Point or the National Spelling Bee were grit important, but it's also in school that grit is important. Every day, parents and teachers come up to me and ask me, how do I build grit in my child? How do I teach my students a solid work ethic? The honest answer is, I don't know. What I do know is that talent doesn't make you gritty. Data shows that many talented individuals who simply don't follow through with their commitments. Also in our data, grit is unrelated or even inversely related to measures of talent. The best idea that I have for grit in students and in children is the growth mindset. This is an idea developed at Stanford University by Carol Dweck, a belief that the ability to learn is not fixed and that it can change with your effort, your grit. Dr. Dweck has shown kids that read and learn about the brain and how it changes and grows in response to challenges persevere when they fail, and they believe that failure is not a permanent condition. A growth mindset is a great idea to build grit in your students or your children. But now we need more. This is where I end my remarks, because that's where we are. This is the work that we have before us. We have to take our best ideas, our strongest intuitions, and test them. We have to measure our successes and be willing to fail, to be wrong, and to start over again with lessons learned. In other words, we need to be more gritty about getting our kids grittier. Thank you.
do it?
These are my notes.